Hello, I'm Dave and this is Fiver, out once again for a walk in the countryside. Thanks for joining us. Now, today we're at the pretty village of Charminster in Dorset. It's located about 1 mile north of Dorchester and the A352 passes through the village. And we're going to be walking a roughly 6-mile circular route. We'll look at a few things in Charminster itself before heading south, past the historic Wolfeton House, along a bit of a Roan Road to the hamlet of Burton, and then we'll head north-east towards Wolfeton Clump, and then we'll head west to the new village of Charlton Down before following a track back to Charminster, basically following the course of the River Cerne. Now, I'm filming at the beginning of April. It is a glorious spring day. The sun's out, blue sky, hardly any wind. I think it's going to be the warmest day of the year so far. Should be perfect conditions for walking. Do come along with us. Okay, well, I've parked my car in the village and we'll start off with a look round Charminster. Well, what better place to start than the pub? And this is the Three Compasses, which sort of dates back to 1747, but it was rebuilt in 1916. And I expect it'll be our final destination. Now, there is actually another pub on the northern end of the village on the A352 called the Gamekeeper, and that shows as the New Inn on an 1888 map. It was renamed, I think, the Inn for All Seasons until its present name in 2012. And I believe there was another pub in the North Street called the George. It's just a residential house now, but I don't know when it closed. Now, this magnificent church here is the Church of St Mary, and there's thought to have been an earlier Saxon church in the village to the west of this site. But the present building has origins to the 11th century when it was a simple nave and probably a chancel and 2 transepts. The north and south arcade were added in the 12th century, and then the south chapel was added by the Trenchard family, who were lords of the manor at the time in the late 14th, early 15th century. And then in the 16th century, the west tower, north and south vestries and the south porch was added. The chancel was then demolished in the 17th century and rebuilt in 1838 when the church was restored. And I think there was a further large restoration in 1895. And I think it's got 10 bells, I'm not sure. Okay, well, let's have a little peep inside. Now, I've only found one set of lights, so unfortunately some of this is going to be very, very dark. Hopefully you can see this. There's a beautiful stained glass window above, and yes, there's the Sally's directly above. Interesting, a few of these sort of shields with carvings in a sort of round shape. I think that's got something to do with the Trenchard family. I'm not sure. And there's the organ with sort of pipes on more than one side. And making my way through the nave, there is the pulpit on the right-hand side, wooden. And continuing through to the chancel, and there's a very large and light window above the altar there. And just to the side here, beautiful stained glass window, really getting the full effect with the sun pouring through. And just to the side you can see a lady praying. Now, Arthur Mee in his King's England Dorset book mentioned that. He described it as, and I quote, "There is a noble dame of the house and the church. She was Mistress Grace Pole, who lived here in the time of Charles Stuart. And there's a quite magnificent wooden ceiling with beams, and I love those carvings at the top all along. What a terrific church. I just spotted what looks like the remains of a scratch dial on the outside of the church on the eastern side. That one's quite good condition, really. You can still see the outline very easily. Well, there's the River Cerne, just to the eastern side of the church. It's 10 miles long, and its source is at Minton Magna to the north of here, and it runs south, and I think it joins up with the River Frome just a little bit further on from here. And this lovely little cottage is Bridge Cottage, quite close to the church. I believe it dates back to the early 18th century, and it's had 19th century alterations. And I think that was also a pub in the past called the Royal Oak. Now, just opposite the church is Charminster House. I don't think we're going to be able to see too much of it other than the wall, but it dates back to the early 18th century. I think it was remodelled in the 19th century. Now, as far as the history of the village is concerned, originally it was known as Charminster. Certainly it was recorded as that in 1223. Basically it gets its name from the River Cerne and Minster, basically the church that's here. And it's one of a number of settlements that became established along the River Cerne. And the village is quite sort of long and narrow. Now, our friend Sir Frederick Treves, in his excellent book Highways and Byways in Dorset, that he wrote in 1906, he had a few words to say about the village. Charminster is a rambling place of gardens with many old thatched cottages and an ever cheerful stream, the Cerne. Its church is full of memorials to the Trenchards, and indeed the stately tower was reared sometime in the early years of the 16th century by that Sir Thomas who built the mansion of Wolfeton. Well, that really is a quintessential photo of a Dorset village church in spring with the blossom in that tree on the right. Beautiful, isn't it? We're just crossing over the River Cerne, and there's one of these lovely signs that you see on quite a few of these old Dorset bridges. And there's the river in full flow. Well, we've had so much rain this winter, so you would expect it to be, I guess. Well, what a delightful little village Charminster is, full of quite beautiful houses and cottages. Okay, well, we're going to leave the village now and head southwards along a footpath. Looks like we're on something called the Cerne Valley Trail, heading towards Lower Burton. Just making my way through a field, heading south, and just over to the west on the top of the ridge there you can make out Poundbury, a sort of a new settlement, all very much the brainchild of King Charles III, of course. Now, this section of the walk, I'm actually going through a field of sheep, and there are plenty of signs about just asking us to keep dogs on a lead. Always a lovely sight, sign of spring, the lambs everywhere. They always look so sweet, don't they? I tell you, it's a really warm day. Fortunately, I've got plenty of water for myself and Fiver, but I might have to take his harness off quite shortly. Now, I'm getting too old for this. I'm following what I think is a Roman road, although it doesn't look like a Roman road, although it is dead straight. Now, according to my map, Wolfeton House is somewhere over there, but I can't see it from here. I wasn't going to get that close to it anyway, and I was going to have to put some pictures up, but let me tell you a little about it anyway. It's been the county seat of many families over the years, including the Trenchards, and it's a manor house with an attached gatehouse, and it's got origins back to the late 15th century, possibly 1480, but very little of that remains, maybe just the courtyard. The gatehouse was completed in 1528, and a main house was built between 1560 and 1580, but parts of it were then demolished in the 1820s. Today, one of the towers of the gatehouse is a holiday cottage, and the other one still, I think, might have a chapel inside. And in Thomas Hardy's collection of novels called A Group of Noble Dames, published in 1891, it's often thought that the Ivied Manor, that was the manor house of the Drenchards, might have been Wolfeton House. And I think it may well be open to the public at certain times of the year, but I'm not sure. As I say, it's somewhere over there. Well, just a little update on the route. We're just about to approach a little place called Burton. There is a pub, the Sun Inn, which I think dates back to the 17th century, but it's too early in the day for a visit, so it won't be open yet. So this is this Roman road that we've been walking down. Certainly it shows as an old map as a Roman road, that's for sure. So we're going to cross the road and then start heading in a sort of north-easterly direction. So this next section of the walk looks like we're going to be basically following a farm track with fields either side, a lot of green now, a real sort of freshness to the landscape. Yeah, it's going to be one of those days where we're going to have quite a few pit stops, I think, for plenty of water. Enjoying that. Another little update on the route. Continuing to head sort of northeast, just come through Higher Burton Farm. It's a gradual uphill climb, but it's not too steep. I just made my way just to the brow of a ridge. Nice little breeze here, and it's a terrific spot just to take in some of the views. just over where those trees are. I appreciate the sun's directly in the camera. If you look at an 1888 map, there was a house there called Sheep House, I think, but doesn't look as though there's anything there today. Well, a spanky new bench there, and a welcome one as well. It's got Seeger's Barn written on it. Indeed, again, if you look at an 1888 map, just to the right of here, there was a barn called Seeger's Barn. Again, all long gone. Just shows how, in a relatively short period of time, the landscape can change. Oh wow, isn't that quite spectacular? The field of oilseed rape in the very far distance, very much a vibrant yellow now, and this really is your typical rolling Dorset landscape at its best. And on a day like today, wow. Well, this is an important finger post to look out for, especially for those folk that might be doing this walk after watching the video. This is about as far north as we go. In fact, just looking over that clump of trees there, I think that's called Wolfeton Clump. So we're now going to start heading sort of westwards along what should be a bridle way. It will take us to a road. And I'm going to keep my eyes peeled, possibly a couple of Bronze Age barrows to look out for along this section. Well, right up close to the crop now. So it's not everyone's cup of tea. I know it sometimes gives people hay fever and they suffer, or their eyes suffer, but fortunately I don't seem to be affected, neither does Fiver, so I guess we're the lucky ones. Well, it is a glorious sight though. Well, I've just crossed a couple of roads and at a place called Charlton Down, and it's an area that's really changed quite dramatically over the last few decades. It's basically a new village that has been created in the 1990s. I'm not going to film too much of it because, you know, it's all residential, but let me tell you a little bit about it anyway. If you look at an 1888 map, all that was here originally was the Dorset County Asylum, and it had been built in 1863. An earlier asylum had been built at Forston to the north of here in 1832. That actually closed in 1895. And eventually there were three buildings here. Redwood House, built in 1863, Greenwood House, built in 1896, and Harrison House, built in 1904. And the whole area basically became a mental hospital in 1920, but everything closed in 1992. And the 3 original buildings were converted to apartments, something like 70 in all, I think. And these days there's over 400 houses here, as well as a village hall, a shop, a nursing home and retirement apartments. Well, we've made our way through the metropolis of Charlton Down. There was a lovely cricket pitch just behind me here. So now we're going to head south on the homeward journey back to Charminster. Looks like we've got a bit of an uphill section first, past Wood Hill Clump. Well, a little pit stop. We made our way to the top of this hill. So this is looking back, that's the north, and the footpath we came across in the far distance, and then into Charlton Down. And there's the cricket pitch just behind the trees, and then panning around. So lots of very new houses, but what a pretty place to live. Oh, some more cracking views from up here. Now I appreciate it's quite hazy now, but right in the very far distance in the horizon I can just about make the shape of the Hardy Monument. Of course, Logan and I did a walk there a few years ago. Great place to go. Well, a little update on the route. Just come away from the clump. The footpath sort of went across a field, but it's been ploughed, so it's difficult to make out the actual footpath. And where I am now, at the top of a valley looking down into, well, the bottom of the valley, the River Cerne and Charminster ahead. So again, I apologise if it might be a bit of a hazy picture, but it really is. I love the way the river meanders along the bottom of the valley there. It really is quite scenic. Well, here we are at the bottom of the valley and the River Cerne, looking at, as I say, quite spectacular and almost crystal clear as well. If you could somehow bottle up these pictures and take them home, it'd be something else, wouldn't it? And look at the white of the blackthorn. I'm afraid I'm going to go a bit vague again, folks. Somewhere around here there are some earthworks. It shows as farmstead on a current Ordnance Survey map, and it's about 2¼ acres square, an enclosure, but it was all ploughed out in the 18th century. It was probably just a single farmstead. Well, just coming back into the outskirts of Charminster. Looks like there's a little sort of public amenity here called the Prince's Plot, with some seats right by the river. A beautiful place to relax too. Well, definitely a dog dip day today, and we're nearly up to chest height. Nice bit of refreshment. Now there's one more place that Daddy needs to go for his refreshment, isn't there? I wonder where that is. And here we are at our final destination, the Three Compasses, which is open. So of course we'll have to pop in there, purely for research purposes for the video though, of course. Well folks, here we are in the, well I say beer garden, I'm actually up high on a little veranda, which is beautiful. And of course I've got a pint of otter. I've been looking forward to this for the last couple of hours. Oh, lovely. And of course, sausage time. Well, we've had a super walk today. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, do give us a thumbs up and a like, and do leave a comment, and do check out our Facebook page, Dave's Countryside Walks. The weather has been amazing, and well, the scenery was out of this world. So until we meet again, thanks for watching, and cheerio. Oh yes, this is wonderful. And of course Chris could be here for a while. Of course, Fiverr's sort of discovered Chris now.